It's not about falling down. It's about how fast you can get up after you have fallen down. That's where the magic is.
Discover what it takes to be a world-class entrepreneur.
No success story ever happened without any struggle at the beginning.
And how you can have it all from the greatest minds in business.
Why do you think people give up when business gets tough?
Welcome to the Woman Entrepreneur Podcast. Here is your host, international award-winning entrepreneur and founder of Woman Entrepreneur, Erna Vasan.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Women Entrepreneur Podcast, all the way from New Zealand, and I am so amped for today. I've been watching Ezra on YouTube, interviewing Grant Cardone, speaking at Grant Cardone, and I finally have him on our show today. Ezra, welcome to the show.
Hey, Women Entrepreneur Podcast. I love it. You know, when I got into the game, there were not a lot of women in this industry of online businesses, internet marketing. You'd go to conferences and it would be like 98% dudes and then like a few random ladies. And over the last 6 years, it's been so cool to see those audiences. You know, I go and speak on stages all around the world and see those audiences morph to 30, 40, and 50%. I went to an event, Shailene Johnson, she's a inspirational, marketing educator and fitness person. It was like all women. So it was so cool. I'm a big fan of women entrepreneurs. I have in my own companies, mainly women in positions of leadership, COO, and et cetera. So I think I'm very excited about. I'm happy to be here is what I'm trying to say.
We're happy to have you today. We are so happy to. And I mean, we were just speaking off air for about 20 minutes, and we were getting into like about your look and how the whole fashion started. And let's do it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't usually start off business conversations with my own self-reflections on my appearance, although I will say in our society in particular, and especially for women, I might add, you're judged on your appearance. And, you know, I mean, women have it kind of rough as it relates to the way that they are perceived by society, because women are sold this idea that youth and beauty are the currency that they trade on, are their value in the eyes of society. And all the magazines reinforce this message. All of the products are anti-age, anti-wrinkle, tuck it in, tighten it up, be skinnier. Like it's all selling you a model of, hey, your value is going down over time. And oh, by the way, you hit about 35 and then it's all downhill from there. And men, on the other hand, are sold this viewpoint that their value is based on production, so on how much money they make. So men have the opportunity to appreciate over time. By the way, this is all bullshit. It's just what you're sold in the eyes of, as far as society goes.
Exactly.
Men are told, hey, you know, the more money you make, the more valuable you'll be, the more power you will have. And so our value is tied to their production, which is why, by and large, men doubt their ability to produce and women doubt their attractiveness. If you just look at Get together a group of 100 women and 100 men. 99 men are going to be doubting their ability to produce and make money and provide for their families, and 99% of the women are going to be doubting their attractiveness. And that's just societal conditioning. And what we were talking about, it's also not actually true, nor do I subscribe to these viewpoints that as to be a winning and right man, you have to be someone who produces. I mean, it's fun to have a production cycle, and it's fun to make money, and it's fun to go for wealth creation. But one of the things that we see commonly, and I'm sure you see this as someone who's an entrepreneur in the entrepreneur space, is people who have made lots of money but are not happy. Because if you chase success, you're not guaranteed to have fun. But if you chase fun, you're pretty much guaranteed to have success, and chase fun also while pursuing an entrepreneurial cycle, which is where we get into work-life balance. Anyways, now I'm rambling. But the point that I was trying to make was that, you know, I am working at a deficit as it relates to being an influencer in the entrepreneurial space, because I don't look like your traditional entrepreneur, right? I grew up on a hippie commune. I just have an alternate view of, I have an alternative set of viewpoints that have actually supported me in business success. what we were getting to, this is all leading up to a not so funny joke, but what we were getting to was that my style, my personal way of presenting myself to the world that I think reflects who I actually am, became like a meme for millennials. Man bun and beard. And I don't do the whole lumber sexual thing with the flannels and the, all that shit. But anyways, I look very much like sort of a cliche version of who you expect someone like me to look like. And that is kind of funny. But we can move on from that now.
But I loved your look. Like, it was so impactful, and I couldn't stop watching the interview with you and Grant Cardone. It was amazing. So thank you so much for adding so much value in that interview. It was amazing.
Yeah, super fun. He's got a big audience and a really fun show, and the guy is sharp. So I'm a big fan of him.
And a big fan. So we kind of jumped into your fashion style first before actually, like, for the people, it's like, who doesn't know who Ezra Firestone is? Like, who is Ezra Firestone? What do you do, and how do you help people?
Sure. Thanks for the opportunity. I am just a guy who has fallen in love with online marketing and business ownership, as well as the idea that the more resource I can generate, the more resource I then have access to direct towards causes that I find noble. Taking care of my friends and family and my community, buying up lands and preserving them, doing like, if I generate resource, I can then use that. And that's a really fun cycle. And so basically I moved to New York at 18 to play poker for a living. And I was like an underground poker player, and that was a whole wild thing. But I came across this idea of not trading time for money at around the age of 18. And, I grew up without money, poor, the whole nine, right? We did not have much, hand-me-down clothes, you eat the school lunches, the whole thing, right?
Yeah.
It's not to get into that traditional story, but I didn't grow up with much means, and always kind of wanted to have means. And so I was always a hustler. I always had some hustle going, some kind of little business as a kid. And so anyways, I became really good at poker. I moved to New York, and I met a guy who, in the poker lifestyle is you're up all night, you sleep all day, you're with a bunch of degenerates, you're banging down Butterfingers and Diet Coke at 3 a.m. under fluorescent lights, and there are no women around, which was a big problem for me. I am not going to spend my life at a poker table with a bunch of degenerate men. I mean, I did that for a while, and that was fun, but like, this was no kind of way forward, I thought, and it required my time investment. So I met this guy, and he was an Australian bloke, a good dude, and he was at the forefront of life coaching. So we're talking 2005.
Oh, wow.
And
Yes.
back then, yeah, you know about coaching. Everyone now has a health coach, a relationship coach, a movement coach, a
Business coaching. So yeah.
business coach. Coaching as a concept has really penetrated the mainstream.
Yeah.
Back then, it was fringe, and it was not like, it wasn't a big thing at that time. And this guy had a really interesting business model where he would use search engine optimization, which was the sort of visibility source for online businesses at the time. It was the only way you could get traffic. The Facebook ads, Instagram ads, influencer marketing didn't exist.
Yeah.
So he would use search engine optimization to rank on Google for keywords like how to start a business, how to make money. And he would sell people a business opportunity informational product, that of an ebook and a set of DVDs that taught people how to go out and start their own life coaching business. And, there's no governing body for coaching. Anyone can be a coach. Anyone who has a skill who can learn a skill can then coach other people. It's knowledge work. And so, it was great. He was one of the leaders. He started the International Coaching Federation, or one of these life coaching, one of these federations. He's one of the first. But I ended up working for him and learning about online marketing and not trading time for money and some of the general principles of wealth creation. Ended up taking over his business, growing it to a multi-7-figure enterprise. And then moving on from there. And I've just basically got lucky because I grew up in online marketing. Back then, tell me, I will continue to ramble, so feel free to stop me and direct me at any time. But a very interesting point for people listening who are maybe just getting started is, at that time, of all the transactions that happen, from the bag of chips that you buy at the local bodega to the thing that you order on Amazon, of all of them, 4% happened on the internet. Now, look at it from now, you fast forward 7 years to 2014 or 9 years, whatever, to 2014. And it had doubled to 8%. So total number of transactions happening online from all transactions that happened had doubled to 8% in North America. And over the next several years, that's expected to double again, because the millennial generation, which is my generation, and we get a bad rap, but I'm a fan of millennials on the whole. The millennial generation grew up with this technology. We grew up with the internet. We're not afraid. The Gen X, Gen Y, baby boomers were afraid to shop online. They had to adopt that technology. Well, we are the largest part of the demographic at 85 million compared to 80 million baby boomers now. Some of the baby boomers died off. Yeah. And we are going to be coming to our prime spending years over the next 10 years and really driving the economy. And we grew up with this. We know this. We have no issue with spending money online. So it's going to double yet again. So the opportunity to sell on the internet with anything, i.e. services, information, physical products, whatever, is going to double again. So it's like, there's no sign of this thing slowing down. So being someone who's interested in it now, you still have a really good chance of being successful.
Yeah, because I think a lot of people think that it's too late. The market is already saturated. I'm already too late on Instagram. I only have 1,000 followers, whatever the case might be. How can I grow to 500, 600,000? I mean, look at Kylie Jenner. She has 120 million followers on Instagram. The youngest female billionaire in the world.
Yeah.
I think people forget that, and this was one of my questions, I'm going to jump straight into it, is that in 2018, people, especially thanks to social media, people only see success. People never see the struggle, the process, the late nights, the failures leading up to that success. What light can you shed onto, especially for millennials, for younger people, to just bring this into perspective and say, shit, you don't just wake up one morning and become successful. It's hard work. It's a process. It's time.
Think about, I love this question. It's a phenomenal question, and it's one that so many people face, just like you said. Yeah. Everyone is showing off everyone's living their best life, balling out on Instagram. You don't see you see the facade of what they are presenting. And actually studies have come out to say that people who are just, that it actually makes people sad to see everyone else appearing to win and them feeling like they're losing. But so it's messed up. But one of the ways that I like to frame it, and that I've found this to be a successful way to look at new ventures, is I think that the skill set that you want to generate as a human being is the skill set of mastery. And that is simply the willingness to put your attention in one place consistently over time. So you pick up an instrument for 30 minutes a day and you play it, you get better after a year. And a business and look, if you pay attention to your intimate relationships, they get better. If you ignore them, they get worse, right? It's like anywhere that you apply this model of what you put your attention on grows, it's true. And so I think that if you're starting a new venture and you have not given it 18 months of consistent attention, which is at least a little bit every day or a day or two a week, I mean, minimum, then you haven't given yourself an opportunity to really see what's possible. And it really does take 18 months, because the first 3 to 6 months are figuring out what you're even doing and getting the product up and the technology together and, learning the language of building an online business. That's 6 months. And then you have 6 months of trying to run it, and then 6 months of optimizing. I mean, that's 18 months. I would really, for myself, for example, let me give you someone who now does over 25 million a year. I've hired half of my family. I've got 70 team members across many states in America. I've got folks in the UK and Canada. And I have a big team, and I do a lot, and I run 4 businesses, all from home, all virtual. Everyone works from home. We meet like this through Zoom. And it's very 40 of the 70 are like friends and family or sisters or someone's wife's friend or whatever, And I can tell you that even me, I'm launching a new brand right now. I'm launching a cosmetics brand, actually, that's geared towards millennials that, I've always been in the beauty and skincare space and done really well there. My best brand is a beauty brand, actually geared towards 50-year-old women plus. That one.
Yeah, I saw that when you spoke about it on stage at Grant. Yeah.
Yeah. I would love to send you some of my new cosmetics, but
awesome.
We're using tree bark as pigments. We're doing all kinds of fun stuff. But, even with me where I'm at today, with everything I have in place and the infrastructure I have, that brand is still going to take me about 18 months to launch, because I have to do sourcing of the product. I have to get the right formulation. I got to go back and forth. Then I got to take pictures of it. And then I got to set up the technology infrastructure, build the website, add Google Analytics, add the Facebook pixel, set up the sales funnel, film the video. The process, even with someone with, and I would consider myself, and many would too, and this is not just to, maybe it is an arrogant viewpoint, but I'm one of the best in the world at direct response e-commerce businesses. And I've trained tens of thousands of people at it. And I'm really good at it. And even being
on the internet, FYI.
What's that?
You are the legend in e-commerce, they call you.
I've been doing it a long time and I love it and I'm good at it and I like to talk about it. And even me, it's going to take me 18 months. And it's like, even with the expertise, now I've got a better chance of success than most people because of my 14-year history in the industry and because of my infrastructure. But like the time invested does not diminish much, even at scale, if you're doing it right. And I think that what I would urge people to get really good at is what you're very good at, which is content. And here's why. If you look at every one of my brands, they all do the same thing. Every one of them. Now, I sell software as a service. I do a couple $1 million a year selling software to e-commerce business owners. I sell information, digitally delivered courses that train business owners on how to grow their business. That does about $5 million a year, information publishing.
Right? Smart marketer.
Smart marketer, yeah. And I sell cosmetics and skincare, which does around 20. And every one of those businesses has the same model, which is find a group of people who are having what I label a collective experience, which is a group of people who are all experiencing the same thing. So in the case of the software business, it's anyone who is on Shopify as their platform for their online business and they want to grow it. For Smart Marketer, it's anyone who has an e-commerce business who wants that to do better. For Boom by Cindy Joseph, it's any woman over 50 who's interested in health and beauty. So they're all having a collective experience. And then what I do is I use content to comment on that experience. So I'll create an article that's 5 makeup tips for women over 50. It's a piece of content that comments on an experience that a group of people is having. And then I amplify that content through paid ads, through Facebook and YouTube and Instagram, and I pay to get it in front of people.
Yeah.
It adds value to their life, they like it, they consume it, and they then subscribe to me. And people think they need Instagram followers or emails as subscribers, but it's not true. There's another way to subscribe, which is consuming the content. So for example, if you have watched 50% of a video of mine in the last 2 weeks, you're going to see an ad for one of my products. You are subscribed in as much as you've consumed, and I can track that. Yeah. So that model of find a group of people, create content that they find interesting and engaging and helpful, get them to consume it, and then follow up with the ones who are consuming and offer them products that they're going to like. Yeah. It's a good model and it works. And it'll work for pretty much anyone if you choose your group right, you have a good product that people are going to like, and you're able to get good at creating content, which is a skill that you can refine over time. And that model has been my model from the beginning. And even though the platform has changed, it was Google SEO back in the day, and now it's Facebook and Instagram and YouTube. And, even though the platform and technology has changed for how we generate visibility, the model remains.
Yeah. And how do you find, I mean, you have a service-based company, you have a product-based company with the beauty products. How do you find the businesses being different where you are selling a service, where, for example, and you're selling a product? Is it different or is the process the same?
This is a really fun road to go down because I've been putting a lot of time actually working on a video. Check this out. I film live videos from in here, and I've got a backpack full of stuff that are props. These are props for the video where I'm going to talk exactly about this, which is if you're looking to run a business at scale, okay? And I would define scale as you're making at least a couple $100,000 a year, you have at least one employee, and you have ongoing operations like customer service or whatever stuff that's happening ongoingly. You're spending some money on marketing. Like, do you agree that that's kind of scale?
Yeah, exactly. Have your influencers in place, have your marketing team in place, totally. You're
making money, right? So I have run a services agency where I actually do services for other people. I did e-commerce advertising for brands, and I did design and development for brands. So that's services. Made millions and millions of dollars a year over the course of 4 or 5 years. I currently run a software as a service business will do about $2 million this year, where I'm actually doing software development and selling it to people on an ongoing basis. Like if you sign up for Dropbox and you use Dropbox as a service, that's a software as a service business. I'm running that at scale. Smart Marketer, which is information marketing and information publishing, where I'm selling digitally delivered courses. And it's an influencer brand based on my persona. I am the influencer. I provide the content. I do the videos. So it's like an influencer model that generates a group of people that follow an influencer around a particular topic. I'm the influencer in this case. The topic is business ownership. And then I sell digitally delivered courses. I do that at scale. And I sell physical products online, obviously at scale. And that's my biggest. When you look at all of those models, e-commerce is by far the easiest if your goal is a business that has a nice work-life balance. And I'll explain why. If we just look at product, so there's three big phases of a business. Any business has what I would label kind of three main things you have to do well or you're going to fail. Yeah. The first is product.
Yeah.
This is one of my products for Boom. It's a stick. Okay.
Yeah.
And in the stick, I have some really amazing goop. See my goop?
Yeah.
This is a moisturizer stick. Goes all over. You can moisturize anywhere you want. Cuticles. It's really good. So all moisturizer all in one. Handmade, organic, edible, the whole nine. It's a really, really high quality goop, but it is goo in a stick. So this thing at scale, if I sell 100 of these a month or 10,000, I sell probably around 30,000 of these a month. What do I need? I need more tubes, more goo, and I need more labels. That's it. Product at scale is simple with e-commerce. Now, let me tell you about software as a service product. So I have 35 developers, front-end engineers, back-end engineers, QAs, project managers. And as I add new features, which means every week the product changes, this goo formula stays the same goo, always. The product for software changes because I'm adding integrations and I'm adding features. And so scaling that, more customers, it's like way harder, the product side. It's the hardest thing I've ever done as far as product goes. And you have to have good product or you're not going to stay in business, right? So that's really difficult at scale because I'm adding thousands of lines of code a week. And I need way more customers or way more employees to grow it. Whereas this, I just need bigger batches of mix. So product line at scale for software as a service is very difficult. Product line at scale for traditional services like you asked about, where you're doing advertising or development for someone, you're actually providing them with services. You need more people to actually do the services and more people to talk to the clients about the services. So scale with a services agency is pretty difficult too. Information publishing is wonderful. However, the products go bad quickly. So for example, I sell a course on Facebook ads. 6 months later, I have to redo it because Facebook ads have changed. So keeping informational courses up to date, this stays the same forever. This doesn't change. Is very difficult. I still obviously love the model and do the model and think it's wonderful, but it's harder. So, okay, now let's move to support. So that's product line. This clearly wins as far as products at scale, physical products, no question, versus any other business model, hands down. If you're looking for a business that scales without needing your direct input all the time, which is my goal, to build assets that support my lifestyle, where I can go take a bath in the middle of the day, hang out with my wife, do things that are fun. And still,
entrepreneur.
Yeah, exactly. By the way, is this too long of an answer?
No, I love this. And I'm taking notes. So as you're speaking, I'm actually taking notes myself because I feel that you can never stop learning. And the more you can consume, the more you can grow.
Yeah, I'm with you. So the second big part of a business is support. Very, very important. And Zappos built their whole business on this. And now there's a lot of people who now over the last 5 years, we've seen tech culture and big businesses and everyone agree that it's one of the most important aspects of business, right? Zappos really redefined it and kind of changed support culture for business in general online. You know about Zappos and their support and Nordstrom and whatever. So, support for e-commerce is very easy. Refunds, questions about the products. That's it. Pretty straightforward. That's support for e-commerce. So you need less people for scale. For example, for software as a service, my support people need to know the software better than the customers using it. So they have to be very high level people. My support people for my agency have to be real high level because they have to actually be able to talk to customers about marketing, right? My support people for information publishing has not as high level as it's easier. Information publishing support is easier than software as a service or services agency, but it's not as easy as e-commerce. Let me give you an example. Boom by Cindy Joseph at $20 million a year in revenue. This brand has 9 full-time support people. Zipify at $2 million in revenue has 9 full-time support people. It
Wow.
needs 10 times the amount of support people. Now,
Yeah.
so support is easiest for e-commerce as well. Now let's move towards the one big, so that's 2 things: product,
Support. Yeah.
supply chain, and support. The next big thing is advertising, storytelling, marketing, sales funnels, right? The marketing, the generating of customers and getting them to come back.
One of
And
them.
yeah, so that's the third element. Now, what's interesting about this element of a business is this is actually the most important, because people don't buy a product, they buy a promise. The people with the best promise win in the marketplace, not the best product. The product only has to be good enough to live up to the promise. It does not have to be the best product in the marketplace. And this is where people are confused. They're like, oh, I built the best product and then it's not working. Well, it's like, dude, or dudette, you have to build the best promise first. That is what will actually get the sale. Then when the product shows up, it has to live up to that promise. It has to be really, really, really good, but it doesn't have to be the best. Ideally, you have the best product, but that's not always the case. So those who make the best promises win. Now, my skill set in business is the ability to tell good stories, produce good content, run ads, do sales funnels. So I'm going to do that anyways, and that you have to do no matter what business you're in. You have to do that well, or you don't have a business. So we're admitting that all businesses require the same amount of effort in this one area, because that is what drives the thing. Yeah. And so if you're looking at supply chain and support, e-commerce wins. Now, information publishing, now e-commerce wins for a third reason, is because of all those business models, even affiliate marketing. E-commerce businesses, besides software as a service, will sell for the highest multiple of yearly profit. So an e-commerce business is an asset that I can turn around and sell this for tens of millions of dollars tomorrow, this brand. This is an asset that I own that is worth a lot of money that I can cash out. And real wealth is not built on cash flow businesses. It's built on the sale of assets. That's how people who have hundreds of millions of dollars, for the most part, made that money, is they built an asset or acquired an asset in some way and sold it. They didn't make the money on the back of an ongoing cash flow business. Now, if you're a good business owner and you're 5-10 years into your journey, you'll have both asset wealth, liquid wealth from the sale of assets, and ongoing cash flow businesses. So with e-commerce, I can sell it. Now with Smart Marketer, information publishing, it's only cash flow. There is no asset there. Nobody is going to buy that. It's based on me, the influencer, Ezra Firestone. That's it. If I stop working on that tomorrow, business is over. It's worth the next month's profit. It has no asset value at all. And this is where people are confused about influencer brands. Good luck selling an influencer brand based around a persona without that persona being involved. You're hosed. So that's why the best model for influencers is to have a bunch of them representing a brand instead of one person. Now, if you're going to go, obviously I say all this while also choosing to have an influencer brand that's represented by one person, which is me. So why do I choose that? The reason I choose that is because even though it's a cash flow only business and it's not building an asset that I can sell at a later date, it's really freaking fun. I love doing it. I love creating the content. I love teaching the courses. I love speaking on the stages. I get an ego boost from it. It's part of my identity as a person, is I'm this successful entrepreneur guy. Like, I use it. It's valuable in my life beyond just making me money. It's not the smartest way to spend my time if my goal is just to make money, but my goal is not to just make money. It's to enjoy my life. And I really enjoy the influencer-based business.
Yeah, of course. And how do you find that, how you are leveraging your personal brand to help your business brand? And how important is it to have a strong personal brand?
I think anyone who has an interest should do it. You know why? Because people with influence have more resource. And if you are subscribing to if you're playing in business at all, then whether you are conscious about it or not, you are subscribing to the ideology that generating resource is a good idea and something you should do and something that will help you. So if you subscribe to that, if that is a viewpoint that you hold, which if you're an entrepreneur, it is, then being an influencer of any scale is awesome because it gives you influence. It gives you the ability to direct people towards brands, towards events, towards services, towards products, towards opportunities. And so me being someone who can't shut up, right? Obviously, listen, we did this interview and I've talked for 95% of it. Now, you've graciously invited me on and given me the opportunity to do so. So it's cool in this context, but I really like to talk about what I'm doing. It's a lot of fun. And I think that if you're that kind of person who is going to do stuff, and this is the model, do something and then talk about it. And there are people who also want to do that thing who will get value from it, right? So if in today's environment, we're the first generation of people who have instant access to the rest of the world. Why wouldn't you take advantage of that? It's so much fun, and it works to your benefit in whatever else you do, and it doesn't require that much energy, a video a week or something. So I choose to do it because it's valuable, and why not?
Yeah. And let's get back to the e-commerce side in terms of having a product. If someone had to just start out in e-commerce, they're thinking of, let's say, selling this pen or whatever, what is a good profit margin for any e-commerce store to have throughout the store?
So, one of the interesting things to look at for e-commerce business owners who are starting out is more often than not, they are buying products for $10 and under. So that's kind of like, they're not coming out and launching an e-commerce brand where they're going to sell something the equivalent expense of an Apple iWatch. What does this thing cost? $500? Yeah. So in order for Apple to make this, it's probably cost them $100. Who knows? But if you're selling an item for $500, it's going to cost you $100 or $150 or $200 to buy that or to have it made. And if you want to buy 1,000 units, you're now spending $200,000. So more that often than not, people who are coming into e-commerce will have something along the lines of like this fancy beaded Jaguar thing, which you could buy for $2 and sell for $10, right? So if we're looking at people who are just starting out, the model to go for is buy for $1, sell for $5. So if you buy it for $9, sell it for $45. If you buy it for $8, sell it for $40. If you buy it for $7, sell it for $35. Now, if it's like 15, you could get away for buy for $1, sell for $4. Buy it for 15, sell it for 60. Buy it for 15, sell it for 55. So as the product that you are buying or making gets more and more expensive, you can lower that multiple of 1 to 5, 1 to 4. But if you're $10 and under, it should be 1 for 5 or more. And the reason is you need margin to spend money on ads. So if I buy this thing. This is a perfect example. I buy this for about $6. Takes me, everything. My packaging, my screen printed label, my sticker on the bottom there, and my goop in there is cost me, and I'm just only joking. I mean, it's really good product, but it cost me about $6 and I sell it for 27. So that is about a buy for 1 and sell for 4.5-ish. That's the right multiple because it gives me enough profit to invest back into advertising, back into better customer support, back into better product. And if you cut yourself thin there, which is what a lot of people do, I'm going to buy it for 10 and sell it for 25. I'm only going to make $15 and people will buy from me. It actually messes you up in the long run because you don't have enough margin to pay for ads, pay for custom. You can't actually run the business because there's not enough margin on the products. Yeah.
And let's get back to marketing in terms of what is the base marketing for e-commerce store? Where should they be spending their money and how much of their revenue should be spent on marketing?
So I think that there's 2 things you have to do well. Sales video, mobile product offer page. Those 2 things. If you look at 95% of brands that are scaling right now, they have a very compelling, really cool, entertaining sales video that gets your attention, tells you who they are, and then demonstrates their product, which should solve a problem that you're facing. Look at Kickstarter, all the top funded Kickstarters to see the model of this. They all introduce you to who they are. They introduce you to the problem at hand. They tell you why they set out to solve the problem, and then they show you their solution to the problem. This is kind of the structure of their sales videos, and it works every time. It's really good. Look at Dollar Shave Club, Poo-Pourri, Purple Mattress, any one of these big giant brands. They're all doing it this way. I'm doing it this way. Really, so you have to get good at creating entertaining videos and testing videos and running ads to those videos. And then, 85% of traffic is on mobile phones. So you need to have a really well-done mobile product offer page that you can direct people to after the video. And I think those are the 2 skills. So the video itself and then the sales funnel that you need to get good at if you're going to be successful in today's online environment.
Yeah. And what would you say is the difference between having a 6-figure e-commerce store and having an 8-figure e-commerce store? How does the difference look like?
The difference is in your ability to buy ads to a video. I mean, really, it's like the difference is an offer that will scale, which means a front end, because they got to think about it this way. Nobody knows about you. You have to get them to know about you. So you have to do that in today's environment through video. And the reason you have to do it through video is it gives you the ability to follow up with them better, because they can watch a video about you on social media, never visit your website. You can track how much they watched and then follow up with them based on if they watched 25%, 50%, 75%. So you have to start with video because people aren't clicking to websites as much. They want to consume your video on Facebook. So the real skill to develop is that of creating compelling videos that you can then run ads to. And that is the difference between people who are successful and not. Of course, you also need a good product and you need good follow-up marketing. You need all this other stuff. But like assuming that you do basic marketing, which if they're hanging out with you, they're going to learn, it's about your top line sales video and your ad strategy.
Yeah. And I think that's where a lot of people get it wrong, is that they've created all these products, they've spent so much money, and now they don't want to spend the money on marketing. And that's where people fail. Right?
Yeah, for sure. It's the most important place to spend your money. And to answer your question about percentages, the model that we use is if the goal is to do $1 million in top line revenue in the business, not profit, just revenue. Then you got to take out ad costs and cost of product and all this. But if the goal is $1 million, you're going to need to spend between $150,000 and $300,000 on marketing.
Wow.
I reinvest 30% of my revenue back into ads. So for example, I'll do 25 million this year, maybe more, actually 27, and I will have spent about 6.57 million on ads. So, well, maybe even a little bit more. Anyways, it'll be 25%-ish of my total top line number will have been invested in advertising, and I think that's a good ratio. And obviously, you get out what you put in. And so the thing about spending money on ads is it doesn't just serve you today. It serves you next year when the people who bought today buy again during a sale event. So it has a halo effect. It's a snowball that builds over time. And I think 15 to 30% is the right ratio. 30% if you're very aggressive like me, and 15% if you're conservative.
Yeah. So the second last question I have for you is, what do you think about the woman entrepreneur and what we are trying to help female entrepreneurs start businesses, grow business into scalable, profitable businesses?
I am I was raised by multiple women. Okay, I had many, many mothers. And I'm a big fan of the women's empowerment movement in general. I think that we live in a very male chauvinistic society. And I could dive into all of the ways that shows up for women. In particular, being seen as second-class citizens and being valued in society for their childbearing years, which is a outdated model. And we've seen a lot of movement there after as women sort of moved more into the workforce and weren't just staying at home to raise the kids, whatever. Long story short, I'm a big fan of women entrepreneurs, and I also have a platform, by the way. Smart Marketer is a platform where I have the opportunity to put my money where my mouth is, so to speak, and show off the viewpoints that I hold in who I feature on my blog and in videos and at my events. And we always have a real nice, diverse lineup. And I think, I don't actually remember the question, but I think where I'm going with this is I think it's awesome. And I think what you're doing is really cool. And I think more of it is needed. And I think that, like, if you're a woman and you have interest in being an entrepreneur, go for it,
Yeah, totally. And if you could give entrepreneurs the very last piece of advice that you can give, what will that be?
I think remember to have fun, because a lot of people are sacrificing for their family and their business, and they end up putting all of their, your work will fill the amount of time you give it. If you don't set boundaries, it will fill everything. And so if you give work all your time and then have your health is fucked up, you're burnt out, you're not investing in your social life and your relationships and your hobbies, and you end up just like shackled to this business, and it's where all your energy goes, and it's at the expense of the rest of your life, you're going to end up successful, sure, but miserable. And so I think that, early entrepreneurs in the first 3 years always experience burnout, because and this is just like common. I can see it from across the room at events. 9 out of 10 people are burned out, overwhelmed, overstimulated. And it's because they haven't set boundaries around their work life. Like, don't start work until 9 or 10, stop at 5. Like, yes, there's going to be time. And this is not a popular viewpoint. Hustle, grind, sacrifice is the popular viewpoint amongst entrepreneurs. My viewpoint is Yes, sometimes. Hey, there's going to be a month here where you're going to be sprinting and doing big long days and doing launches. But if that is the backdrop of your life, if you are not treating this as a marathon and you're rather treating it as a sprint, you'll burn out, you'll run yourself into the ground, and you'll do yourself a disservice. So if you're looking at it as a marathon, look at like when you set boundaries around your work life, you get more done because you have real hard timelines, and then you figure out how to get the shit that you need to get done in that time. And I'm not saying don't work 40 hours a week. Work 50 when you're starting. You know what I mean? Work a reasonable amount. But like ultimately, if the goal is to have this be in support of your life, then don't wait for that. Start now. Start have fun with it, or you're going to fail, is ultimately what I'm saying. And one of the ways to have fun is to make sure that you're well taken care of, because if you can only give from your own surplus. So if you have not generated surplus for yourself, surplus of energy, surplus of mental space, surplus of fun and intimacy and connection, well, then you're going to have nothing to pour from. You're going to be an empty cup.
Yeah, I totally agree. Ezra, thank you so much for getting onto our podcast today. How can people get in touch with you, with your businesses, with helping them into their businesses? Do you have any links or email addresses or websites?
Go to smartmarketer.com. Smartmarketer.com is my blog. You can find me on Instagram, Ezra Firestone. Yeah. I'm on there, and I'm on Facebook too. So
awesome. Thank you so much, Ezra. I really do appreciate your time. I think we have 1 minute left, so the timing was pretty cool. I'm just going to stop recording, but we can have a quick chat afterwards. All right.
Thank you so much. It was really fun.
I really do appreciate it. It was so much fun.
You've been listening to the Woman Entrepreneur Podcast, the #1 success platform for female entrepreneurs. Visit our website, womanentrepreneur.co, for your daily motivation and business growth expert advice. Until next time, play big, think big, and impress yourself.